what is it worth to you for your time? So here we have in this chart, if we can see this, on the left at the bottom is your time, that's the base. Then the top end of that is how the client is going to use the work. So that vertical line represents the differing fees you can get. Your expertise is going to drive your fee up. Your location might drive your fee up. Your competition, and sometimes your location can certainly drive your fee down.
What a beautiful presentation. It really helped me think like how to be more artful.
Thank you.
And like girl power, freaking girl power.
Let the mares in the stable, you know? Now this is an example of a drone shot taken for the commercial company who owns the building. And their goal is to lease their remaining space. Now this is a view that you would not see, that you could not see, because this is taken from a drone. And the visibility from the highway and the proximity to Chicago is a marketable asset for them. But for our purposes, it directly opposes the feelings of safety and privacy. Instead, it makes the building feel exposed and therefore everyone else inside exposed. Alternatively, there is a pedestrian pathway across the street that's elevated over a park. You can still see the entire building and its proximity to both Ashland Avenue and the highway. But you could, as someone walking towards the night ministry, be taking this path. So this could be part of your circulation. And you're on this path, you see where you're going. You could watch some dogs play, which, as we all know, is like an immediate pick-me-up. And this is a much better representation of what my clients were trying to accomplish. So the other is not wrong, it's just a different client who has a different purpose.
Today I want to show you what editors are always on the lookout for, what editors receive all day, and how you can stand out in that swimming, overwhelming inbox to get your work featured.
You have to do you. This is kind of like the hardest thing that I feel to kind of trust yourself to do. Like, you know, we spend so much time and energy trying to figure out how others do it, how many photos they take in a day, how they price it, you know, whether they composite, whether they light or don't light, how many lights, you know, and you know, you can drive yourself nuts. And honestly, if you spend a little time looking at it, you'll find that there are very successful photographers that do it in very, very, very different ways. So really just, again, it doesn't mean you cannot improve on your processes or learn or get better, but it still has to work for you.
And it's like if I don't lower down to what they're wanting me to shoot for, then I'm gonna lose it to somebody who's cheaper. Is it one of those things where you're essentially just either take it or leave it, or it's like I really need the work, so I'm gonna take it? Like how do you think through those things, or are you just not dealing with it?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. That came when I was shooting for ISG. That kind of came across because I usually get pulled in when the hotels want to do something different. Like when I did a brand shoot for Hilton, they were like, we want to use my shoot as the case study for all the other shoots for all their other hotels. So they want to take some risks and do something different, and which is why I think I cost more. But yeah, when I was shooting for IHG, like the stylist team brought me on, and they're like, so we kind of submitted as a package. I know it was more expensive, but they were still like, okay, but we want to like use this as like the test case. And then they were like, oh, and then you can do 20 more shoots like this, and like think about lowering your price. I'm like no. Like I first of all, I didn't want to do 20 more shoots because then I think my whole year would be full. But yeah, and it's tough. But I think if you're trying to get your foot in the door, I think it's great to just have that experience. I feel like my style wouldn't probably be that good for that kind of work because you know, like I am like they might want something that's more like that could be replicated, because they're shooting like hundreds of thousands of hotels around the world. So like you don't want it to be like super creative. You want it to have like a consistent like the style books they have. So I think in that case you have to kind of like play by their ballpark, by their rules, and because they have different photographers in different regions. And so I think that's when you want to, if you can get those brand shoots, because the brand shoots are like for the whole brand. Like, and even when I was shooting, they would try to make the shoots generic. They were like, oh, we'll just remove the logo of the city so we can use it for 10 other cities. There you have more flexibility with budget, but I think if it's like the local shoots, it's probably set.
Because if you don't, then you might be busy, but you're always doing the same thing and there's no room to grow. You need to, meet new people and stuff like that and reach out. And early in my career, I was doing that. I sent out emailers, I did a lot, and that's kind of how I met people.
What are you specifically doing at these events to try to cut through the uncomfortable vibe?
Some of it at just a regular event, meaning at the AI facility, at a restaurant or whatever, it's literally just like, walk up and say, hi, my name's Adam, and like start the conversation. It feels weird, but everybody's there to meet people, so you just got to get over it and put yourself out there. But I do want to give like one very specific tactic type thing that like everybody could take away from if they choose. Arturo, you were saying, photographing the events. Brian, you mentioned this as well. I actually volunteered to photograph golf tournaments, and it seems like all the organizations in my area have at least one, if not more, golf tournament / fundraiser every year. I thought, hey, this would be a great way to get out there. I'll shoot a gallery. I'll put my watermark on everything. I did it twice. The first one, I was kind of floating around. I had my own cart. I would just drive around, shoot people playing. Like, I've got a sports photography background. I was cool with that. But that didn't allow me to get in front of everybody. So the next time I changed it up. I stayed at one hole. Every single group that came in, I asked them for a group photo and then took shots of them at that hole, like interacting or whatever. And because of the way that these tournaments are set up, they're not like flying through it. So they're gonna sit around that hole. And at the hole, I picked the one that has like, the beer tent and the cigar stand or whatever. So people are hanging out at this thing for a while, and you can just chat with them the whole time they're there. And literally one of the guys that I chatted with there, I had seen him at another event, a couple weeks prior, and we had chatted. So now this is two face-to-face. A couple weeks later, he hired me for a job.
Nice. All right, so let's move on to social media.
My clients aren't paying me to have an opinion on what they've created. No one gives a shit what I think about it. But what they do care about is that I can make really beautiful pictures and respond to beauty and the layers of beauty that show up in that moment. And it's moment after moment after moment, from when it is dark, literally, when I arrive, till I leave again, when it's dark again.
What is it worth to you for your time? So here we have in this chart, if we can see this, on the left at the bottom is your time, that's the base. Then the top end of that is how the client is going to use the work. So that vertical line represents the differing fees you can get. Your expertise is going to drive your fee up. Your location might drive your fee up. Your competition, and sometimes your location can certainly drive your fee down.
What a beautiful presentation. It really helped me think like how to be more artful.
Thank you.
And like girl power, freaking girl power.
Let the mares in the stable, Now this is an example of a drone shot taken for the commercial company who owns the building. And their goal is to lease their remaining space. Now this is a view that you would not see, that you could not see, because this is taken from a drone. And the visibility from the highway and the proximity to Chicago is a marketable asset for them. But for our purposes, it directly opposes the feelings of safety and privacy. Instead, it makes the building feel exposed and therefore everyone else inside exposed. Alternatively, there is a pedestrian pathway across the street that's elevated over a park. You can still see the entire building and its proximity to both Ashland Avenue and the highway. But you could, as someone walking towards the night ministry, be taking this path. So this could be part of your circulation. And you're on this path, you see where you're going. You could watch some dogs play, which, as we all know, is like an immediate pick-me-up. And this is a much better representation of what my clients were trying to accomplish. So the other is not wrong, it's just a different client who has a different purpose.
Today, I want to show you what editors are always on the lookout for, what editors receive all day, and how you can stand out in that swimming, overwhelming inbox to get your work featured.
You have to do you. This is kind of like the hardest thing that I feel to kind of trust yourself to do. Like, we spend so much time and energy trying to figure out how others do it, how many photos they take in a day, how they price it, whether they composite, whether they light or don't light, how many lights, and you can drive yourself nuts. And honestly, if you spend a little time looking at it, you'll find that there are very successful photographers that do it in very, very, very different ways. So really just, again, it doesn't mean you cannot improve on your processes or learn or get better.
Howdy ho. Let's get some people admitted. What up, Dre? What up, Doctor?
Actually, I used to work for Rug Doctor.
So, we're going to be doing open conversation tonight, but I'm going to kind of lead it, try to keep it on track so it doesn't go all night long. There's a lot of people here. First of all, can everybody hear me okay? This is also streaming to YouTube for those who didn't see the Instagram post or the email that I sent out. So people will probably be jumping in and out. It'll probably stay on the YouTube as well, possibly even be put out to the podcast stream that I have for Arc Photopod. I'm not sure yet. It's just an idea I'm toying with. So anything you guys say on this, just know that other people might hear it as well. So just be mindful of that. I'm also going to be mindful of that. So there may be some things I don't share here, but I might share offline or something. So just a few things to consider. But I do have a loose agenda of things that I was hoping to kind of talk about tonight. And the way we'll do it is I will kind of just pull these things up, start the conversation. I'll kind of like share my thoughts on a topic. I'll monologue for a minute so that I don't want to last too long, but then I want to kind of open it up for discussion. So the things, I kind of hinted at what some of the things that I was going to be talking about tonight, but first thing I want to talk about is PMRE takeaways. PMRE was just last week, so I'll talk a little bit about that. Talk a little bit about the summit that's coming up. I don't want this to be a marketing call for the summit, though. It's not the point of this, but I do have to mention it. Marketing strategies that work for me this year. I want to talk a little bit about pricing and AI stuff, and maybe a little bit about mental health mixed in there. Some of you may have seen my story earlier, and that's kind of relevant to that. So we'll talk a little bit about everything. I would say feel free to jump in at any point, but I'm going to probably be monologuing a little bit, and I'll try to direct the conversation so that it's not too much of a free-for-all, and I'll probably just be kind of moving us on as we go along. Again, feel free to ask any questions you have on the Zoom call or on YouTube, because I think I can see the YouTube comments as well. But let's go ahead and dig in. So first I'll say it's good to see a lot of you. Oh, make sure you mute. Make sure you mute when you come in as well, just in case. I don't know how to set that to automatically mute. Let's see here. Mute upon entry. Okay, did it. Got it. Okay, so I've got everybody set to mute upon entry, but that's just so people don't, you know. Anyway, so PMRE. So for those of you not familiar with PMRE, it's photography and media for real estate. I think this was the 7th year, though my math may be off. It's primarily a real estate. It was primarily a real estate photography conference that became a photography and media conference. And now I want to say first and foremost, fantastic event. Everything about it. Brandon and his team do an incredible job. Like it gets better every year. It really does. And I'm not just saying that. I think a lot of you here who were there and you can attest to that. He just does a great job and he's very thoughtful about it. He thinks about everything and I really admire him and took a lot of, he's helped me out a lot over the last year, like talking about summit stuff and helping with planning. So really admire him. So anything I say isn't a dig against the conference. It's more the industry as a whole. So talking a little bit about real estate photography in particular. And again, this is maybe a little bit more of a hot take. So I'd love to hear anybody else's thoughts on this. But my biggest takeaway from the conference is that I walked away feeling kind of like a dinosaur. Like it did not feel like a photography. It didn't feel like a photography focused thing anymore. I'd say it was probably 30 to 40%, if I'm being generous, people in the room were photographers. Actually, the first thing I want to say, I should have said this before I got into the absolute best part of the event was seeing all you guys in person. Some of you I haven't seen in a long time. Some of you I've never met before in person. Some of you we haven't talked in a while. There is a lot of positive things that really came out of that event. A lot of healing was done. There was some, people that internet drama happens and people don't communicate as well as we used to anymore. So it's always good to have conversations in person. And I can think of 3 conversations I had in the last week that were like very healing conversations. Well, I'd say more like 5 or 6 conversations that were just really healing. And like you kind of needed to have those in-person conversations. You needed to like be able to give that person a hug, multiple hugs sometimes. And just like really have deep, intimate conversations. And that's the most valuable part of that event and any event for that matter. So anyway, I just wanted to say that. But this idea of the industry being different and this phrase kept on like repeating in my head. This empire building, like a big theme of it seemed to evolve around the idea of like building this photography empire of some sort. This not even photography, like the real estate media content creation empire. And there's nothing wrong with it. I just want to be clear. I have no issues with that. At one point in time, when I was in the real estate photography business, I kind of had a little bit of that mentality myself. And again, nothing wrong with it at all. Like, this is not a dig at them. It just made me feel like, wow, I'm kind of a dinosaur in this industry because I still care a lot about the photography. And not that they don't, but I'm just saying for me, it just felt a little different. So I would be really curious to hear, even if you weren't at the conference, just your general thoughts on this. And maybe this is a little bit more geared towards real estate photography. I know like many of you are architecture photographers as well. And I wouldn't even consider myself an architecture photographer at all. I would consider myself, a real estate photographer. I would consider myself exclusively architecture at this point. I haven't photographed real estate in like 2 years. And this change from real estate photography to real estate media was kind of the catalyst for why I didn't want to shoot real estate anymore. It's just, I can't keep up with the industry. So anyway, let me just open up the conversation. I kind of monologued a little bit and I'll maybe chime in with some more of my thoughts in a bit.
question?
You can do anything you want, Josh. Open call.
Cool, thanks. When you say that it's changing and it's evolving and you can't keep up, I mean, are you talking about like integration of artificial intelligence and virtual staging and virtual tours? I mean, what can you expand more on what you mean as far as not being able to keep up with what's going on? Just for the record, I probably shoot 50-50 real estate and architecture. A lot of the real estate shoots I do are architectural homes, so this is where I live. I live in a little resort town, and so I shoot $15-20 million houses regularly. And we don't do, we shoot architectural quality images of those homes, and we do architectural videos of those homes. So I'm just kind of curious. I'm still doing a ton of that work, and I'm just overwhelmed. And I didn't even know about this conference until I saw your post on social media. So thanks for bumping that. And I'm going to look into it next year because I'm interested in seeing what's going on out there in the world.
Yeah, I would say for me, so I started photographing. I mean, I've been doing professional photography since 2006, like making money with a camera. And that was through, weddings, portraits, some commercial work. I shot some restaurants, shot some architecture, but I started doing official real estate photography where it was listing photos in 2011. And from 2011 to 2014, I think, well, maybe 2013, it was just photography. It was like, I fully admit I am a dinosaur at this point in this business. So this is kind of like, this is not me poking fun at all the young whippersnappers out there that are doing amazing things. It's just that I'm just coming from that place. And there's people that were doing it long before me as well. But from my perspective, 2011 to 2014, I did only photography before I even started incorporating video. And when I started incorporating video in 2013, 2014, at least where I was, that was still relatively new. And then, virtual tours started becoming a thing as well. And I'm talking specifically to my area. You guys are everywhere in the country, maybe even in the world. So you may have a completely different experience. I'm just talking from my own experience. And then it was probably 2020, 2021, when maybe even a little before that, like scaling started becoming a thing. And I just remember 2018, 2019, there were a few big box companies that were, had multiple photographers, but that wasn't really a thing. It wasn't until like maybe around COVID and, some courses came out and people had a lot of time on their hands. People were doing career changes where business in a box started becoming much more accessible, and like competition started flourishing. A lot of content creators started shooting for realtors, even architects and designers and builders at that point. And I guess just what started happening for me was I was like, man, I kind of just liked doing photography, and it was fun to make money with a camera. I didn't necessarily want to build a business where I had to build all these systems. I didn't want to like learn all the latest technology and hop on all the latest trends. Like I just wasn't interested in doing that. I just wanted to make money with a camera. That's what I was excited about. And so I started slowly kind of becoming disinterested in real estate photography as a business. I would still shoot real estate, just for the record, I would still shoot real estate, but nobody will hire me for the rates that I charge. So I don't have an issue with it. I just, so that's more my point. So again, I would just want to emphasize, because I know this is the internet and things can be taken out of context. I have no issues with the people doing those things. I'm just really stating from my own perspective, it's a different beast now, and I personally am not one that would be able to even keep up with it. I just don't have that in me, I guess. So it was just more of an observation that I just wanted to get people's take on. Hopefully that clears what I was saying, Josh.
I'll chime in a little bit then. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're a little quiet, but I can hear you.
Okay. I lost my voice in Vegas, so...
I'm still recovering.
Yeah. I'll echo what you said about feeling like a dinosaur. It wasn't a negative thing, it was just more... this year was the first year I felt like kind of out of sorts. I've always attended every event every year. At least, well, I've attended 6 out of 7, and I'm a networking person. That's kind of the core of my business model networking to me is always so much more important. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily lead to new work, new jobs, it leads to new ideas and ways of approaching things. The thing that was difficult for me, and I think you'll agree with me, is the sheer amount of, like, with the AI, with so much AI, it got very, very overwhelming because, you know, they talk about the AI bubble.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that also affects our industry as well, and the providers, the sheer amount of vendors that were there that were providing something that had a huge AI element. And so that was something that was kind of a struggle, but also I found a lot of value in the mixture between, you know, the commercial, the architectural figureheads in the industry that were speaking, and those that were talking about scaling the business. And it kind of, I don't know, we've never been, it's just been always me and now my husband's running the business for us in real estate. We do go do commercial, architectural, and interiors photography, so it's kind of like all big bundle. But the thing that kind of I took away from the conference is that even though there's so many new people, I think it was 70% of the attendees were brand new this year.
Yeah.
And that was like shocking, absolutely shocking to me, really. But also I know, like, a week beforehand there was also the RAPP, the Eli Jones conference that he held the week before, and so there were people that attended PMRE that also attended that, and that, like, blew me away because, like, they're going to take out
Yeah.
But the big takeaway for me is that what we're really passionate about, whether it's the art of the photography, the personal connections with our clients, that now is going to be what I feel now that all these newer people are coming in, younger people, like 10, 20 years, are entering the industry and really embracing the AI and the scaling and everything else, that we dinosaurs, or those of us that feel that the industry is being kind of pulled away from us, like in an artistic way, I feel like that's going to continue to be desirable. I think that's really what's going to continue to set us apart, even though for real estate, I know we're not necessarily going to change much. We might take advantage of some AI stuff with editing and whatnot, but I feel it gives us an opportunity actually to start being able to focus more on the areas of commercial and architectural photography that we want to.
Yeah.
Without feeling like we have to pay as much attention to the real estate aspect of it.
Yeah, I would say that as well. So Josh Adams in YouTube left a comment. And Josh, you can join us. Anybody can join us in the Zoom call. The link is in the description on YouTube. But Josh asked what some of the key takeaways were. There were those things, and I want to just be careful that this doesn't sound like it's this is not a problem, by the way, with PMRE. It was just an observation. I took a lot away from every presentation that I listened to. Admittedly, I didn't listen to every single one of them. But like Alex Coombe, for example, was she has a 7-figure business in Toronto, and hearing her story was super inspirational. Like, I'm not going to build a team like that, but just hearing how, like, just her approach, her attitude was super positive. Cheyenne was absolutely spot on, for me at least. I really resonated with her talk. She talked a lot about burnout and just the changes she's gone through. And if everybody knows Cheyenne, she's like a firecracker. She's been like hustling and just been on top of it for the last 4 years. And then to come back this year and do a presentation on burnout was pretty insightful and kind of how I felt. Matthew Anderson did a great job as a host. Admittedly, he did a lot better than, and I know he's on the call and listening to this, but so I'm just going to say he did a lot, much more impressive role at the PMRE than, I don't want to say than at the summit, but I mean, your energy was perfect. You really got that audience excited. So you did a fantastic job the entire week. So really great job, dude.
And I got sick.
Did you?
Yeah, I just got off a call with Fraser. Apparently, a lot of people got sick at that conference.
Oh man.
Yeah, I feel like I'm lucky that I didn't. Everyone else did.
It's because you left.
That's true.
I think Simon got everybody sick. He
Probably.
brought Andrew lurking there in the shadows.
That's it. That's all the lot I have in here.
Do you have any like key takeaways?
I actually have a lot of takeaways from PMRE. I'm
Yeah.
kinda glad that I went. I was kind of considering not because I was so pooped after the Marfa workshop. You know, kind of what you were talking about, everybody talking about building their empire and all this stuff. All that meant to me was people have to work way harder than I realized to earn even like comparable amounts that you can earn if you just find yourself the right market, have the right clients, and have the right rates. I didn't understand why so many people were like about doing that. You know, these numbers people were talking about, like 3,500 photo shoots a year. That's crazy. 19 people on their team. Like, total respect for them. I think what they're doing is amazing. But I looked at everything, all of these AI platforms, and I'm just like, every single thing looks exactly the same. This is becoming a market where everybody does the exact same thing, and they're just trying to out-hustle each other. So I took away that I need to continue to work on my own brand, you know, be an artist, have something that stands out, and go that direction. But also, I do need to embrace these AI platforms. I need to make sure that I can streamline things and keep up with it, and you know, just see how they go. Like, I definitely have to consider what these people are doing and how they're operating, but I operate in such a different market than everybody that it's apples and oranges as far as all that goes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Like which presentation? Well, I'm trying to think. Maybe it was Cheyenne's, or maybe it was Simon's. I don't know, but like my big takeaway was like, hey, you know, to embrace creativity and embrace, I don't know, just your own. I guess takeaway wise, it was like I gotta, just like you, Andrew, I gotta kind of keep on my own path, do my own thing, and these systems are coming out, and everybody's going to be essentially doing the same thing. It's becoming very commoditized, and not to fearmonger or anything, but it's going to creep into architecture, photography, and design photography sooner or later. It already is starting to a little bit as people get burned out with real estate photography and other things. You know, they're going to start doing a little bit of architecture, and I welcome competition. I have no issues with that, but I think the strongest thing we can all do for ourselves is just differentiate ourselves, build really solid relationships with our clients, with other people in the market, just with our industry in general, wherever we're at. Things are going to change rapidly in the coming years, and I just think it's really important for us to all start considering that. Nothing to be fearful of, in my opinion, but I think it's an opportunity. It's like a really good opportunity to start building genuine relationships and stop looking at what we do as just a business and a way to make money.
I wanted to add to that a little bit, and something I thought about a little bit earlier, and that is one point that was brought up. I don't know who brought it up, but for those of us that are in real estate and like really deep into real estate, which that's our bread and butter, that's making up over half of our income, our clients still don't have a clue how to do any of this stuff. So even though, yes, there may be our own direct competition that will be implementing AI and offering things that we could also offer, and yeah, it comes down to relationships and all that. The majority of our clients and the majority of the people who are in this industry, especially as realtors, and even in the commercial and architectural space, they're not gonna necessarily, unless they hire someone whose sole job it is to do all of the things in the middle that we don't know have the brain power to do. Our clients are still going to be behind us by a year, 2 years, 3 years plus, or more, from the tech perspective.
Yeah.
So really, we may feel at times, and I know this hits me really, really hard mentally all the time. It's just like, oh my God, I don't know this thing, I'm done for. But really, a lot of our clients are in that same boat or worse, and they're feeling that way too. So if we're just a couple steps ahead of our clients even, we can help bridge that gap for them instead of worrying about everyone else around us that could be, you know, way up there.
Yeah.
You know, I think that Alex Coombe the one you're talking about earlier, she kind of brought that up, and she was talking about like, you know, your clients. This is speaking specifically for people who do like regular everyday real estate work. Like your clients may have this ability to go and run these things through the processes and stuff, but they don't want to spend their time doing that. They don't want to go and take the pictures with their, even if it's just with their phone and then running them through the AI. They don't want to do that. They want to have somebody come and do it. And honestly, so many people there, like hearing what people are charging, like most real estate photographers are basically a free service to their clients. Like they make so much money off this, and then they sell everything, you know, like these huge packages, and they're like $500. Like if I were making tens of thousands of dollars, like, you know, even if I'm only making $10,000 and I'm being charged $500 to make all my marketing come together, I would never ditch that. I don't think should be any worry about losing your client to AI for something like that.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't want to. So I know a few of you others were there. Ivan, you were there.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah. Do you have any? You left some things in the comments, but is there anything maybe just pick one thing so we don't spend too much time on this topic. But what's one thing that maybe you took away?
It was like first like too much AI, because I came to I come from a background that I did commercial work, I did a lot of expositions and a lot of stuff. So I've been like doing a bunch of stuff, and then it was like too much technology and the whole. I mean, like Alex Coombe, like I have a restaurant, and the last thing I want in this business is have people, bunch of them staff working for me. The reason I downside all my life, and I love the way like you, Simon, and a bunch of people work, and that's like role model for me in this business. And then having like 20 people in staff, I'll kill myself again. I'll have like a burnout in the first year. I just like the fact that if I need help, I have a bunch of friends which are photographers. I can dial, hey, you have time to assist me? Fine, okay, this is this much, I buy you the food, and I work with somebody. But having people on staff, like shit, no, it's not something I would like to.
Yeah.
That's that. And it was too much of that. I mean, like too much brainwash, like, oh, you gotta be big.
Yeah. Well, just to be fair to them, I mean, some people are made to do that.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, there a lot of people at that conference aspire to do that because they have it in them as well. And again, at one point I had it in me to want to scale and build my business to the point where Jason Smith is on this call. He was my business partner when I was in Minnesota. My original business was called Mankato Home Tours, which was the city that I lived in. Oops. But I switched it to Minnesota because in my mind I was like thinking statewide, not just citywide. And I also had goals to I bought all these URLs for all the states surrounding me because the plan was, hey, maybe down the road we can scale this thing to different states and have the same business model, to the point where I even had a friend of mine in Ohio start a business there where it was almost like an extension of my own. And same branding and everything, and I kind of had an ownership in that business for about a year. So I was thinking scaling back in 2017, 2018. So nothing wrong with that at all. So I just want to be very fair to those people. Like, I think it's awesome what they're doing. I just can't keep up. And that's why they're going to be successful in it, and I'm not.
Yeah, the scaling point is like nice. I mean, the whole thing, just like the background, I still run like a restaurant, and I got burned out doing restaurant and hotel business, and it's like, shit, I love the fact that I can work over here. I may get like somebody to help me in some shoot when I get busy, but I don't want to go like that thing, like managing so many people. It's something that also the market for Panama, it's not something that actually, it's a different story from the market from the US. Different story.
So before we move on to the next one, I see Jackie and I see Matthew. I'm not sure if anybody else was there, but did either of you have, I mean, Matthew, I'd be curious your perspective from the MC, but maybe Jackie, I don't know if you're open to talking. I'd be curious to see what your thoughts were.
You want me to chime in?
Sure.
I could definitely, this will be the third year that I attended. Obviously, being the MC, I'm kind of in the green room quite a bit, so I didn't get to listen attentively as much as to each presentation as I wish I had. I did get the sense that it's a very different tone this year. Yeah, there's a lot of mention of AI, optimizing systems, scaling, all that stuff. I think there's the sense I got was that the margin actually might be getting bigger between a real estate media creator versus like A&D photography, and not a good or a bad thing, just different. I saw that the most this year, and I use analogies a lot, or think of them a lot, and I liken this to restaurants, where I got the sense that they were like how to grow your franchise, basically, like if you are a fast food type restaurant, not comparing, you know, real estate photography to fast food, but in a way, like you said, it is commoditized. It's not necessarily about the craft. It's about, you know, pump out product, make your systems efficient, and all that sort of stuff. And then A&D photographers are more like these one boutique restaurants, and that's it. And you just have that one restaurant. It's a really good restaurant, and maybe it's, you know, run by the chef or something like that. So long story short, this year was probably the biggest that I saw quite a bit of difference, and a lot of it has to do with how the businesses are run. I heard little to no mention whatsoever about skill as a photographer or media creator. I've even heard figureheads who were there at the attendees, who I think have been known to say, if you're in real estate photography, you're not a photographer, you're more focused on the business side of it, which I get, you kind of have to be. So I think it was cool. I think I'm along with you, Jordan. I'm not sure if I heard the whole thing. I used to do real estate photography, but I think I would get left in the dust by a lot of those people in the room. If they were in my market, they'd blow me out of the water.
Yeah.
Because they do everything, and they're amazing at it. And I was still treating it like a photography nerd. Mm-hmm. And yeah, if I was still doing it today, I think I'd get left in their dust.
Unless you're doing what Andrew does, and is he still here? Josh, you know, they're shooting their work as though it is an architectural project.
Sure.
Like
I think it's very market dependent too.
Yeah, and I think if you've got clients willing to pay that, then that's perfect.
Can I just chime in real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the town that I live in has a population of about 4,000 people, and in the greater area of my valley is like 13,000. It's a really small community, but there happens to be a lot of expensive homes. And so the real estate market here I realize it's a lot different than what a lot of people might be experiencing. So I'm somewhat detached, I guess, from this conversation in some respects, because the shoots that I'm doing, and I would implore anyone who is still quote unquote doing real estate photography to aspire to shoot for the high producers, if that's your thing, because what I've been able to do is a lot of the homes that I shoot, some of them are spec homes, honestly. And so when I get hired by a real estate professional to shoot these homes, the first calls I'm making are to the architect, the designers, and the builders who made them, and going for that cost sharing, angle. And that's one of the reasons why, even if the realtor budget oftentimes or sometimes doesn't provide adequate funding for the quality of shoot that I want to do, I do it anyway, because my goal is to try and monetize those images with the other parties that are involved. And so I had a call with another photography colleague who's in Colorado, and he was asking me, about how to scale a business, and I'm all about networking. I'm all about, like, okay, if I'm going to go in and do a shoot, how can I leverage this to get in front of, the big players, the power players, and the ones that are doing interesting and compelling work, and hopefully become one of their shooters and to shoot their projects going forward. And that's how I started as a real estate photographer, like a lot of other people, and then I got my lucky break. A developer hired me to shoot a big project where I live, and the architect licensed the images, and the builder did the same thing, and then hired me for 7 more shoots. And so that was kind of like an aha moment for me. Yeah. So I know a lot of people draw a demarcation between real estate and architectural photography, and I agree with that. And when you're talking about photography by the pound, but don't let that dissuade any of you from pursuing work that is meaningful under the guise of real estate. Because
and oftentimes that's how people get into the interior design architecture, builder photography anyway, is because of real estate. So it's a good stepping stone. They're closely related industries, just different business models, different clienteles.
I think we'll get to the point where I know I personally want to get to the point where I may still shoot real estate, but I don't admit to anybody that I do. So
See, I would. That's a whole other discussion.
when I say admit, I mean publicly.
I know, well, I don't know that necessarily makes it any better, but
take Mike Kelly for example. Most of his presentation, not most of it, but a lot of it was talking about how he shot real estate, a good amount of it.
Right, but he also did it on his terms, which is where I think that's a really awesome place to be, and that's somewhere where I personally would like to be. I feel like I'm getting there, but at the same time, Mike is his own entity. He doesn't have a side one that's like Mike Kelly Light,
Yeah.
I guess you could say I'd be comparable to like Mike Kelly Light. Like we still all do all the real estate things over here, but having the identity that's basically this is what I do, this is what I charge, no matter what I'm doing, whether it's for real estate or beyond.
well, I know exactly what you're saying, and I agree with what you're saying. I understand. I mean, like I can 100% relate to it. Like, on the other hand, if you're in a position where your finances are in order, you don't have to worry about building a business, paying the bills. If you've got financial peace and you can take risks like that and you can kind of set things on your own terms, I don't think you have to be Mike Kelly to make that happen. I think that you can do that wherever you're at. You may not work as much, but the other thing with Mike is that he hasn't been doing this. He's been doing this for longer than I think most of us realize. So it's not like this just happened last week. I think probably within the last 6-7 years, he got to that point, but he's also been very consistent. Like he's built up to that, but the guy's put a book out. He's got tutorials. He's got YouTube videos. Like he kind of put himself in a position where he was kind of the face of architectural photography, and he just happens to be he's got a lot of things going for him, and he's a smart dude. So there's that. But again, not to keep on picking on you, Andrew, but you're not Mike Kelly. You live in the middle of the desert, and you've built yourself a business to where you can kind of command that as well. And you would probably say the same thing. Like if anybody wanted you to go shoot anything, you would say, this is my rate.
Yeah, that's exactly how I operate, whether it's real estate, architecture, interiors. Even when Bethany said that right now, it's kind of like made me think about how I almost felt a bit of a stigma around calling myself a real estate photographer for a long time.
Yeah.
Mostly because in this world of photography, you hear real estate photography and you immediately think of like HDR stuff, but it has nothing to do with that. My clients just happen to be realtors. Well, most of them anyway.
Yeah.
And so, it's just a matter of what you do and how you approach it.
And I'll also say there is something to be said about living in the Midwest. I mean, I lived there. I understand. Like, trust me, I live in the South now. It's worse than the Midwest in some cases. So I don't have access to a lot of the things that other people do, but that doesn't mean that I can't still build a business on my own terms. And look, I still don't, I'm not there yet, but I know it. I can see how it's attainable. My mindset isn't there yet. But a big component of it is having some kind of financial stability to where you don't have to necessarily worry about the no's anymore. You can start pursuing things on your own terms. And maybe this is a whole separate call in and of itself, but I do still want to talk about a few other things, if you guys are okay with that. Bethany, I cut you off, so I'll give you the last thought.
No, all I was going to say is that when I said that previously about like I don't want people to know that I shoot real estate, it was more about removing myself from the day-to-day real estate and finally letting go of that little bubble.
Yeah.
To it doesn't mean that I want to be like, I don't want people to know that I shoot. It wasn't that I don't want that to be attached to me. It's more that it's already happened. It's been happening naturally for the past couple of years.
Yeah, you have different career trajectory.
Yeah, I do. But at the same time, I also have, someone in place that can and will take over that aspect of it and wants to. and I'm finally finding myself. Yep.
The doctor.
Finding myself, the doctor wants to take over. So with that in mind.
Yeah.
That's what.
So just to wrap up the PMRE thought, I just want to say, great event. I will definitely be going next year. I know maybe the energy of this conversation was maybe felt like it was not poo-pooing on it, but maybe a little bit. It wasn't like exactly overwhelmingly positive, but it was an overwhelmingly positive event, and I'll definitely be going again. I could list I have a whole bunch of takeaways, but I think the biggest one, year after year, is the people. And anybody who's been there knows exactly what I'm talking about. It's not the presentations, it's the conversations that you have in between the conversations or the presentations, and the ones that happen at night. It's going out with people, it's sitting at the bar until 4:00 in the morning, overdoing it and having like deep, obnoxious conversations. But like, it's seeing people you haven't seen in a year or maybe 3 years. You know, there were people that I hadn't seen since the first one that were there, and we remembered each other's names, and it was just like we caught up, and it was cool. So great event, would highly recommend. Photography and Media for Real Estate, PMREconference.com. Not affiliated in any way. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was another conference. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because this is an event that I'm putting on along with a lot of my friends. The 80 and Photo Summit. I don't want this to be an ad for 80 and Photo Summit, but I do have to talk about it because I'm putting it on. Anybody on this call, I made a coupon code that's good for the next 24 hours. And the code is 1123. It's the biggest discount I've offered. I'm only doing it during this call, and it'll be available through tomorrow. Code is 1123. It'll be $600 off. The thing I wanted to say about this conference is it's taking place on March 4th and 5th in Austin. This is 100% focused on architecture and design photography. There's no real estate photography talk at all, at least on the stage. The workshops and the conversations surrounding the event will be entirely focused around architecture and design photography. A little bit of commercial here and there, but the split as of right now is 50-50 male-female and architecture and interior design photography. So it's a really good mix of a little bit of everything. I'm happy to answer any questions. I don't want to spend a ton of time talking about it. Like I said, I'm sure all of you have heard about it at this point. You're probably sick of hearing about it. But if you have any questions about it, I'm happy to answer it. And if you need that discount code again, I'll say it. Or just hit me up after or whatever. I don't want this to be a, what do you call this, late night infomercial. I just have to mention it. That's all.
I got a question for you.
Sure.
Did you get Joe Fletcher to do Joe? Not Fletcher. God, how did his name slip my mind? He's one of the guys giving a clinic before the actual conference. Yeah, it's Joe Fletcher, right?
Yeah.
Did you get him to do another one? Because I got locked out on the registration on that, and I'm really bummed.
Yeah, well, it sold out in like 5 minutes, I think.
I know.
So, I mean, he's got his luncheon. He's got his luncheon, which is still available somehow. I don't know how people, like, you get to have lunch with Joe Fletcher and do a Q&A with Joe Fletcher. Like, I don't know. I'd do it if I wasn't organizing it. I don't think it'd be appropriate for me to take up one of the spots. I have asked him several times if he'd do a second one, and I don't think he's ready yet, but he's got a waiting list of about 10 people so far for a second one. And I'm not sure, did you sign up for the waiting list?
I'm on the waiting list. I'm going to luncheon.
Okay.
I'm actually doing a video project right now on a couple of houses that he shot for a mutual client of ours. So
cool.
I'll just try and pull him aside.
Cool.
Somewhere down there. But hopefully you can get him to do another. I think that would be really cool. I mean, for those that got in, good job.
Well, he's a busy dude, and to get him on the phone is like, I gotta kind of, I have to have a list ready to talk to, because I only get to talk to him like once a month. For a very short period of time. So I keep it brief, but I'm trying to convince him to do a second one. I'm just not entirely sure it'll happen yet, but I'm hoping it will. It would probably involve him coming in a day earlier. I'm not sure if he's going to want to do that, or staying a day later. So, were there any other questions about the summit or anything? No offense if there's not. I don't care. I just want to make sure I can answer them with my voice instead of a text while you have me on the call.
Hey, Jason Smith here. I have a question. What's the main hotel for that summit?
It's at the Omni. So the hotel question. So there's our main hotel where all the workshops are going to be happening is at the Omni. It's about a 10-minute walk from the venue, and they were able to give us a discount. Unlike any of the other hotels in downtown Austin, they were the only one willing to give us a discount. That's where the registration party is going to be taking place the night before. That's where all the workshops are going to be taking place. Aside from Kendall's, I think Kendall's looking to do her workshop off-site at a special location, but she may end up doing it at the Omni. We're still working those details out. We also got a discount there's a hotel right next to the venue called East Austin Hotel, which it's more of a boutique motel kind of situation. It's nice. It's just, it's got some unique features, and then you got to be careful of the room because there's they only have 75 rooms and 25 of them have a shared bathroom. So you have to kind of be very attentive to what kind of room you're getting. But they offered a good discount for us for I think it's 10% off. So anyway, if you're going, all that information's on the info page for the summit. I can get that to you later. Okay, I'll move on unless anybody else has any questions. You can always ask me later as well, or shoot me a call. Okay, marketing strategies that have worked for me this year. I've been wanting to talk about this a little bit for a long time. I'm probably going to make a whole separate video on it at some point. But a lot of you have seen these silent videos I've been doing, these semi-silent videos. And I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about how those all came about and maybe get everybody's gears spinning a little bit and how you might be able to do something like this that is unique to you, that works for you. But I want to kind of tell you about the thoughts, the psychology behind it, how it all came about. So I'm going to spend about 5 to 7 minutes talking about this, I think. I'm going to try to keep my rambling brief. You guys, a lot of you know me. I can go overboard. But so last year was an odd year, and I had moved down south. I'd been trying to rebuild my business after leaving Minnesota, and I was kind of struggling to build my business. There's a lot of already established relationships in my region. And I was kind of having a hard time breaking in. It had been 3.5 years-ish, and I just wasn't really making much progress. And I was like, I got to do something different. And I found myself getting hooked on these YouTube videos. It sounds really weird, but they're like these, I was just looking for something different and creative. And I stumbled across these Japanese silent vlogs. It's these Japanese kids were making these vlogs where they just document their daily life, and it's no talking. It's just, and you can look up, just YouTube search Japanese silent vlog, and they just shoot these really nicely shot, videos that have, they're just nicely shot, and it's just all ambient noise only. And I found them interesting. I found myself watching them over and over and over, and then I stumbled across other people who were doing them. In different parts of the world, and I just found it really fascinating. I would start I don't know, I kind of got sucked into them. And then what happened was Hurricane Helene came and wiped out the western North Carolina, and we were without power for a few days. But what happened was I had a tree that fell in my backyard, and I'm getting there. This is going to be a little bit of a story, so just try to follow along. A tree fell in my backyard, so I'm looking up YouTube videos. I'm like, what can I do with this tree? I don't know anything about trees. I've got soft hands. So I'm stumbling across these videos, and I stumble upon these dudes doing bushwhacking stuff, or whatever you call it, bushcrafting stuff, where they're you know, wearing camo and they're in the woods and they're chopping trees and they're doing all this stuff. I was like, I can do that. So I'm like, I go buy an axe and a saw and I'm like chopping this wood up. But there's one I found where like it was like a 45-minute video. There was no talking in it. The guy was just doing this stuff with these logs and everything. And I found it fascinating. I'm like, I wonder if I could do that with architecture photography. And so long story short, and there was also a hiking vlog that I was watching as well that was like these really long hiking videos, but they're all shot very cinematic. Anyway, so I made like 3 attempts in December. It was like December of last year and January of this year, just trying different ways that I could do it. And my thought was, it's like I can make these videos since these people aren't hiring me and I can't meet them and they can't see how I work. Maybe I can just make something that's cool and interesting and different that I could share with them, that would kind of just force them to see how I work, and they could also see the results. And bonus points if I can do it in a project that they're familiar with. So I started thinking, first of all, how can I shoot these things? So I did a couple practice runs. I did one at my house. I did one on a commercial shoot. I did one on a virtual tour shoot. Ironically, I did like a 360 tour at some builder's house. And I practiced this just to see what I would like and the easiest way to pull it off. And I bought some equipment that would make it easier for me to do this. And then I started looking for a house that I could potentially do this in. And there was an architect that I had my eyes on for a while. We had communicated at one point, but he just wasn't very responsive or receptive to me. So finally I saw him posting about one house that was nearing completion on Instagram. I said, hey, I've got this idea. I sent him my little sample video. I was like, I'd really like to do this in this house. I won't charge you anything for it. I'll give you 10 photos. No matter how, all I need is 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours. And so he said, sure. Like, I mean, he doesn't have anything to lose. So because I had practiced the technique I was going to be doing, I was able to kind of do the whole thing in like 3 hours, I think, maybe 4 or 5 hours. I don't remember. And that was the first semi-silent video that I put out. And after that video, he liked the photos, but he was more impressed with the video. Seeing how a photographer looks at his project through, Vivian, caution, your screen is on so we can see. Just FYI, in case there's anything you don't want people to see. So anyway, from there he started hiring me for every single one of his shoots. And I've done probably 5 shoots for him since then, all fully paid shoots. From that first one, I was able to use that video and send it to a resort. There was like this rustic cabin resort in the mountains of Western North Carolina. And I was able to send the video to them and say, hey, I'd like to do this at your resort if I can stay there for 2 days. And they were like, sure. And I got access for 2 days. That's actually going to be the 5th semi-silent video that comes out because I did that back in March. Anyway, paid shoot for those. And anyway, it kept on trickling. And I had 2 or 3 other architect clients that I've been interacting with finally say, yeah, let's give it a shot. Like because they see me work. The videos are interesting and they're kind of artsy fartsy. And I think the architects like seeing their projects in that different way. It's just something different than nobody else was doing. And something that I hadn't seen before. Also, this ASMR thing, that was unintentional, but it kind of became like, a lot of people were telling me that it felt kind of like an ASMR video because you're hearing like cameras clicking, little fidgeting and footsteps and everything. So there was something kind of meditative. And also I had meditation music playing in them, so that helped. But people started watching them in the background and it was very calming. So photographers actually got interested in them and decided that I would make those available. Like I would do extended tutorials available if people wanted to see, like, hear my thought process on them, where I actually am talking through the videos. So anyway, that's how those all came about. And I can honestly attribute probably at least seven photo shoots in the last 4 months that came directly from that first video. And I've done 3 of them so far. I've got one new one coming out this week and another one that I should be putting out before the end of the year. So anyway, I just wanted to share that story. I'm probably going to make a little more thoughtful YouTube video at some point explaining the whole process, how I shoot them, just to, if it helps people, if it gives people ideas, something they can do on their own. But I just wanted to share that because a lot of people have asked about it, and I've been wanting to talk about it, and I thought maybe it would get some gears turning, and I would be open to hearing answering any questions you have about it, or even talking about any marketing ideas you guys have been toying around with that maybe seem a little impossible, maybe a little far-fetched, a little hard to do, that maybe we can, as a group, talk through some of those things and kind of figure out the best way to maybe pull those off. So I'm opening up the conversation. I'm going to stop talking for a minute.
Jordan, I just want to say you and I had a couple of back and forths on Instagram, and I just leveraged that idea, reached out to a property I really wanted to shoot, and knew that if I could get longer access, I could get better images. And so I got 48 hours in this property, and I got 4 of the best images I've ever gotten because I could see the light change throughout the day. And one of them is this little insignificant side chair, but the light's just coming through and catches it. And the owner's never seen that property look like that. So, hopefully you don't mind that I totally just stole that idea,
No.
but it's turned into, he actually had me shoot this rental property and then said, I'm working on my mid-century modern house. Will you come and shoot that for me as well? So that's gone on. And another gentleman who's a builder, same thing. I've shot his house, had the data myself in it, and he's going, like, same thing. I said, I'll shoot the house. I just need access. And when I was leaving, he goes, hey, let me show you the next property we're going to shoot together. So it's that time, that face-to-face, actually building the relationship and the rapport, treating them like every other customer, right? Doing the pre-briefing, asking the questions, getting a sense of what's important, and it just has worked absolutely brilliantly. So I just wanted to give you a shout out and say thank you for sharing it.
So you ended up making one of your own?
I've got the video. I haven't edited it and put it together, but I got access to shoot it, and basically leveraging the more time I can be there, the better the images will be.
Yeah.
And then showing the first to the second to the third, they get it, right?
Yeah.
Versus you can have access to the house between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. when the light is harsh in the Australian sky and it's garbage.
Yeah.
You go, well, hold on. The property actually is going to look best here.
But they let you, I'm saying they let you shoot a video there, like showing behind the scenes and everything?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see it.
Yeah. It's I'm super stoked by it. Like, it just, and I'm doing locked off, right? Because video has always kind of been this, don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But I just set it up, lock it off, let it go, and kind of move it. I'm only moving the camera maybe 3-4 times throughout the day, but
yeah,
it changes how they view what I'm doing, and also how I get longer access to the spaces. So,
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for doing. Matthew Anderson has a really good idea as well. I'm looking forward to seeing regarding this topic.
I sure do. I told Jordan about this in Vegas. I want to do one exactly like it, except it's a parody, and you see more of the realistic things that happen on a shoot, like, you're on a house by yourself, and then, about 1:30 p.m. that Chipotle hits you, so then you immediately have to run to the powder room and hope no one else hears it. But, some of those sounds might make it into the video, and, the stomach growls, the burps, the real stuff that happens, not that fake crap that Jordan puts out.
The size of disappointment.
The cursing to yourself under your breath.
Yeah.
God dang it. What the frick? And all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
That's my idea sometime.
Yeah.
It would be on brand for me, for sure.
I hope you do it. I really want to see that. I think it'd be really funny.
I'd like to. I really want to do it. The challenge is like finding a property. I basically would need to find like a model home where I'd have access to it pretty much all day.
But yeah, if I get the opportunity, I'll do it for sure.
Yeah. Any other thoughts, questions, ideas? Do you want to share?
I mean, like the video you did, it was. Wait, I think I saw it in the moment you first posted. You put like a story, and I look at it, and it was inspirational. I mean, like it was super nice. And now that you mention it, that you base like inspired like a Japanese video, you can see like shit, yeah,
Yeah.
that's where you got it.
And-
Now I get it. And I mean, that video you didn't charge money, and then you bring your money in the long term. And most people forget it's like personal projects. If you do something for free or do something just for having fun, usually they bring money at the end. I mean, you put some time on it, but like if it's nice or something, shit, it always brings something. And that's like a lot of people, we get too much on the business side, and then, oh shit, I'm tired, and then just focus on business, not creating something for free that's going to be nice. And then that thing is going to explode, and then you're going to have more business than any other
Yeah,
thing.
that's a really good point. So this was very much a creative outlet. Like, yes, it was a marketing video, but I was like, it was definitely a personal project I was doing that is doubling as a marketing video. I was inspired by these Japanese vlogs and these hiking videos and these, bushcrafting videos where people aren't talking, and I talk a lot. So I was like, that'd be kind of an interesting take where I don't talk at all. And I liked the idea of challenging myself to film a video with 2 cameras and a laptop camera and shoot at the same time without having a client there, give people a little glimpse into how I think about things without actually saying it. I'm sure some of you who have watched them, like, maybe watch them and are like, why didn't you just do this? Why didn't you just do that? But that's part of the fun. It's like, because I don't do things the same way every time. Like, each video is a little different one way or another. And I've even filmed, so like I said, I've got a 4th one coming out this week, and I got a 5th one that's I've been editing for the last several months. But I've filmed 4 other ones that I'll probably never release just because they're maybe not as interesting. But I have one shoot where I shot probably 90% of the whole shoot all handheld. And it's just like, it doesn't show well. So I'm probably not going to show that. Anyway, sorry, I don't mean to ramble, but I more just wanted to kind of talk about this project and get the gears going. And if anybody else had any ideas that you've been toying around with, maybe we can offer you guys some thoughts or suggestions as well. So floor is open.
Hey Jordan, what are you shooting with? Are you using an iPhone? Are you using a proper video camera? I mean, how deep are you going on these things?
So when I was doing my practice runs, I bought a couple GoPros. So I was started on filming them on GoPros. I lost the GoPros. So then I tried doing one on just my iPhone. And I did it on a gimbal where it kind of followed me. And I didn't really like the motion. I liked having the camera locked down versus motion. So then I filmed another one on an iPhone where everything was locked down. And I was like, iPhone quality works, but let's see what I can do with I did a test run with my Blackmagic camera to see if like shooting in 6K was better. It didn't really matter, to be honest with you, not for YouTube videos. So then I started shooting on, my primary camera is a Sony A7 R4, and I've got 2 Sony A7 IIIs and an A7C. So the first couple videos I had 2 cameras set up on separate tripods, and I'd set them up. They're both A7 IIIs. I'd set them up on, wherever I'd compose them. And then I'd just hit record on everything, and then I'd use my camera that was tethered to the laptop. I would use my screen recording and use that as a third camera so you could get point of view. I also, I wanted to add a GoPro so you could see my hands moving around. I just thought that'd be a little too much. But the last one I just did a couple weeks ago, I just used a little Sony ZV vlogging camera. I just use one camera on a tripod, and I just move it more often. So yeah, it's evolved, but I've been trying to simplify the process as much as I possibly could. In a perfect world, I would have other people filming it for me, so I could just kind of focus on what I'm doing, and I wouldn't have to think about switching the camera and everything. So maybe someday I'll do that, because there's all kinds of things I want to do. Like I want to, you know, I try to record my audio, but it gets really hard to do that. I'd love to get more detail shots of my hands, like twisting the lens and focusing, and just like little detail shots, but I don't have the energy to do those. It's already taxing enough doing a full photo shoot, let alone trying to film a video on top of that, thinking about the edit.
Hey, Jordan, one of the things I've noticed wedding photographers doing is just mounting the 360 cameras in the hot shoe on top, and then that's what they're cutting between. The people that I'm seeing that are really doing it well, they're just selling their personality. They're selling that interaction with the groom and the family and stuff. Here, it could simplify those hand shots. You mean I don't know if you can get it out of the 360, but you might be able to not have to think about it and get some of those closer up shots that you want, just mounting it on top of the camera and then cut between that and the statics.
I thought about doing that, but if I did that, I would want it to be tight shot. Like, so I'm kind of a control freak.
Yeah.
So like, that's also why I wouldn't have anybody necessarily film it, because like they would need to film it how I want them to film it, and I wish I could just have two of me, because I want every camera to be locked down. I want it to be compositionally pleasing. I want it to have the appropriate amount of depth of field. Now, the quality of these videos I'm doing is not great because I'm filming and shooting at the same time, but it's like maybe 40% to where I'd like them to be. So if somebody can replicate that and they have that as an idea and they can make it look the same way, I'd be open to it. But I just opted out of doing it at all. Just let the shots linger longer and let the tension kind of build a little bit, trying to figure out what I'm going to do next. Let the ambient sounds kind of soak in, and just maybe, I think part of it is also, one thing I didn't mention earlier is I wanted these videos, because I want to be able to sell these videos as a whole separate thing is the goal, including hiring me to shoot it. So I want the architecture to be the main subject, not necessarily me. I'm just kind of like I'm just a something moving through the space, but my goal is to have the architecture be the subject, because I started doing it at the beginning of each video, presented by or in partnership with whoever the client is, because I want them to be paying extra to be featured on this series. So after my fifth one, every one after that will be an additional fee to get featured on a semi-silent project, and they've got to apply for it as well.
Yeah, I think the Osmo Pocket is about as close as you can get to having something FPV on top. That's going to be close, but a little bit closer than like the GoPro. But yeah, to not have control exactly of those shots, you want, again, it kind of depends on what you're using it for. If you're using it for social media, I mean, that's what I would use it for, because I did weddings for years and years, wedding videos for years and years. And nowadays, if I was still in that space, I'm doing 2 next year begrudgingly. But if I was still in that space regularly, that's probably what I would do. Just because there's all these photographers out there that are providing like this, extra content creation. It feels like just 2-3 posts and people are happy.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't implement, it doesn't satisfy us. I mean, yeah, I may make them happy to pump stuff out, but I want whatever I'm going to be putting on social media in addition to what I'm providing the client, to match.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan, I think you should just hire George Clooney to be your stunt double. Have him be the shooter and you film him how you want to film him.
You don't know how to take that, do you?
I don't know what to say about that.
Well, I wouldn't mind chiming in a little bit, because I think, to kind of digress to Jordan's main point with this, with marketing, is Jordan put himself out there. He showcased a little bit of his process and how he works. And I think that's a big piece that I think a lot of us who are mostly focused on architecture and design tend to forget is, we know we are the brand, but sometimes we fall back on just pumping out
photos of our work on Instagram. And I remember someone, I think it was actually somebody that Jordan interviewed on one of his podcasts, was that, you know, if someone scrolls through your Instagram and they can't tell, you know, aside from not looking at the top on what your job title is, if they can't tell the difference between you, an interior designer, or an architect, then you're doing something wrong.
It's Arturo.
Because people want to get, they want to get to know you. They want to, you know, if they're going to spend hours potentially on a shoot, if not a whole day, they want to know that the person that they're hiring. So, you know, as much as we love to be behind a camera, sometimes even reluctantly, we might have to get in front of it and showcase a little bit about ourselves, our personality, our processes, just something to set aside, because at the end of the day, you know, granted it's not, but imagining that our quality of work was on par with each other, our prices were on par with each other, the biggest separator is going to be us. You know, I know here in Kansas City, I put myself out there a lot, and I know for a fact there's a lot of people who will not hire me because they probably find me obnoxious. And that's fine. There's probably people on this call who find me obnoxious. But that's the reality of it. And if they like my work and know my pricing, but they don't want to hire me because of my personality, I probably don't want them as a client either. So it might help filter out, you know, some potential leads as well. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you are obnoxious. I'm just kidding. No, I agree. I agree with all those points, though. It doesn't have to be like a full-on YouTube video, although that does help because YouTube is owned by Google. If you can embed that in your website, it also helps with SEO. It establishes authority. If people see you teaching something or talking about that, in fact, that's one of the main reasons I even started doing any kind of YouTube stuff in the first place, because I knew that like establishing some kind of authority in my market would be helpful. One of the first things I did was I made a licensing video, well before Matthew Anderson's licensing video, I should add, that was more geared towards real estate photography.
Say that, didn't you?
But the point is, I made that for my clients. I did not make that for photographers necessarily. I made that directly because a client said I didn't know what I was talking about regarding contracts, that I didn't know what I was talking about. So I was like, I'll show him, and I made a YouTube video about it. But anyway, yeah, I'm rambling. So let's talk about anybody else's marketing ideas, or if you have any other questions, I'm happy to ask them. But like, do you guys have anything you've been toying around with? Maybe you wanted to get some input on, some thoughts on how you might be able to pull it off, even if it's a bad idea. No idea is a bad idea here. Maybe somebody who hasn't talked yet. No, nothing against everybody who is talking, but I just want to hear from people who have been kind of quiet.
Hey guys, my name is Matt. I'll jump in.
Cool.
I am in Northwest Indiana, just outside of Chicago. And just a little bit about me. I worked for VHT for a long time doing real estate until an architect saw one of my staircases that I did, and they put it in the Chicago Tribune. The realtor did that. That's when that was that pivot point for me, in which I went into architecture and design. Like, it was that moment where I'm like, oh, I'm not just a real estate photographer. Like, there's value to this to other people. Like, I wanted to say that back to the point when the woman was talking about, I don't want to mention I'm a real estate photographer, but there is a weird stigma about that. But I digress. I do want to say 2 things. First, a question, Jordan. I was on your Instagram and I saw that beautiful time lapse of the sun going over the wood paneling.
Mm-hmm.
That was an amazing shot. Like, I could just like that was just so beautiful. Like, I want to recreate that. Can I ask about that?
Yeah.
And then a follow-up. I'm lucky. I live outside of Chicago, so I get to meet and work with a lot of cool folks and shoot cool spaces. But one thing that's worked tremendously for me, for my marketing, is going to things like interior design, not workshops, but the associations. Like,
yeah.
I ended up joining the ASID,
yeah.
And then also the AIA, and I'll volunteer. I'll say, hey, can I shoot your event? Or they sometimes do builds for low-income housing or women's shelters. I volunteer. And by doing that, I get to hang out with some cool people, like the architects that were on site or the designers. And then they've since hired me because it was almost like a test run of like, oh, you're not bad to hang out with for a couple hours. Can you go shoot my project? So that's my 2 cents. Just volunteer, help out, and then you can kind of vibe with somebody, or you find out like, you know what, I don't like you being so close to me and trying to like tilt the camera. Like that's not cool. So
Yeah.
kind of interview one another by doing that.
Yeah. What specific questions do you have about the time lapse that I can answer?
Was that on your GoPro or your phone, and you just sped it up, or?
No, it's on my camera. I did a time lapse with intervals, shooting intervals on my camera. So, have you ever done a time lapse before on your camera?
Just on my phone. I haven't really messed with my cameras. I don't know.
In most cameras have a mode, intervalometer mode on your camera, and you can set it to take an exposure every X amount of seconds, X amount of times, like set the duration and everything. And for the most part, it's that simple. And then you bring it. The easiest way to edit those is you can bring all the photos into Lightroom, and you can export them all as a. I think you can export them as a movie. That's the easiest way. You can bring them into like in a video editing program, and just like as a sequence and export it that way. I have a whole thing where I use this other program called LR Timelapse, which basically smooths out all the bumps and makes it not very flickery. It takes out all the flicker that you see in a time lapse. It just makes it really smooth. So what I do is when and I do this when I do video projects a lot. I have my Sony A7 IIIs. I've got 2 of them. They're my time lapse cameras and my just backup video cameras. But I usually just set those up and let them go. When I see like a streak of light somewhere that I know is going to be changing throughout the day, I'll set it up as I go and shoot the other things, because that way I'm not in the same room. I don't bump the camera or anything. And if they turn out, they turn out. And in those instances, I knew specifically it worked out well because there was these skylights that the architect placed strategically because of what the light did on the panels. So it was really important to him. He didn't ask me to shoot it, but he just pointed it out as we were doing the scout. So I was like, ooh, I'm going to capture that with the time lapse, because I knew which direction the light was going to be moving. So I had to think ahead of it, compose it. And that's the gist of it. On my YouTube, I do have, I think it's still on my YouTube. If not, it's on my website and it's free, but I've got a whole tutorial on how I edit those time lapses. Totally free. There's no catch. It's either on my YouTube or on my website. I can't remember.
Cool. Thank you.
Yep. The doctor, did you have anything? I saw you pop up.
The doctor?
Yeah, Andre.
Here to learn for the best.
Anybody have any, again, I don't be bashful. If you've got any marketing ideas or things you want to try or things that have worked for you, please share. I don't want this to be all about me. I'm happy to keep answering questions about it, but if nobody has anything, I can move on. This call's going until 10 o'clock. That's pretty long for a lot of people. So for another 45 minutes. So we still have time, but.
Oh, I have one more question.
Sure.
I just logged on to my Google Maps, and it popped up that my business was eligible for a $500 AdWords or some kind of Google advertising credit if I spend $500. Has anybody had any success chasing people around the internet with your ads?
I'll let anybody else answer first before I offer my thoughts.
I just haven't done paid advertising for a while, so I don't know if anybody's had success.
I've never used those, but I have used the Instagram ads.
Yeah, okay. Might be the same thing. Or no, it wouldn't be the same. It would be for Google.
I have used Google Apps a couple times. It did get like a bunch of messages, but the actual sales were like little in my case. I mean, there were like people asking, but random people, they want like a drone photo from like empty lots or whatever. But I mean, there was some people that actually bought the whole something, but there was like a lot of questions that nearly went to nothing. I mean, but at least it was something. I got my money, so I got some business, but you have to ask like, answer too much questions.
I haven't used Google Ads recently, but I've used Bark.com quite a bit for paid leads, and haven't gotten a ton of success with like specifically architecture and design, but I've gotten a lot of event work and stuff for construction that's not necessarily architecture and design work, but for construction companies. And I got my biggest client by about close to $50,000 this year from Bark.com. So
nice.
It was a lot of work.
That's why I haven't heard from you lately. You've been busy. I've used ads, and I would say, yeah, definitely take advantage of it. My suggestion to you, though, would be to, before you hop on it, watch some videos on it. Spend some time. That way you don't waste, because the reason they do that $500 is because they know that people don't know what they're doing when they first set it up. So you throw that $500 away. And just when you start getting some traffic, you reach your $500 limit. So if you can go into it hitting the ground running, you'll be in much better shape. So watch a few videos on Google Ads to get a base level understanding of how it all works, and then start thinking of some ideas, and then use it. On the other hand, I will say, now you're in a market that you can really tap into Chicago and the surrounding areas. I will say this: most people. This is a pretty broad generalization. I don't know, there's exceptions. I know that people have done things and they, whatever, it works. But for the most part, people in the region aren't, I'm trying to articulate this better. People aren't going to Google search for people who are in their area necessarily. Most of it's going to be word of mouth. So your targeting should be for people who don't live in the area, who have projects in the area. So you want to keep that in mind. And that goes for SEO as well. So any ads are different because ads will pop up in people everywhere. They'll pop up in people's YouTube, they'll pop up wherever. So those are fine. But again, with Google Ads, you really want to understand how they work, where they're going to reach. You got to think, if your clients are primarily designers, a lot of them are going to be on Pinterest. So maybe look at Pinterest ads. If they're architects, a lot of them are probably going to be on LinkedIn. So you got to think kind of 3D or 4D with this stuff. Where is the client? Where do you want to put your ads in front of them? And just don't throw that $500 away, because it is free money.
I think I'm going to spend my $500 if I was to do that advertising and going to some holiday parties this year and trying to win some silent auction type stuff, chat it up at those tables, because that's where I've gotten most of my business, is just, I don't know, going to the AIA Chicago holiday party and just shooting the shit with some folks.
It's a relationship business. That's where this business is. Look, all the marketing things I've ever talked about or thought about, it all boils down to that it's a relationship business. The marketing helps you get in front of people and build familiarity, but you're not going to actually work unless you build relationships. There's the exception, of course. You can run ads and you can get your highest paying jobs from those, and that's great. I've gotten really high paying jobs from ads and from using Thumbtack and other things, but once the job's done, I don't usually hear back from them. And again, there's exceptions to the rule. I think Josh just gave us a good example of that. But it's a relationship business first and foremost, I think. And the more you can do to get yourself out there and interact with people, the better.
Yeah, Matt, you said you were in Chicago?
Yep. I used to live by Wrigley Field. Yeah,
But and you're there now?
I'm actually in the suburbs, actually northwest Indiana, in Crown Point, Indiana.
Oh, Crown Point. Okay, I have friends there. We're about 3 hours away from you in Iowa.
In Iowa? Okay.
In Quad Cities.
Oh, right on. Oh. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Anything else on the marketing topic? All right. We're coming to the end of 2025. If you haven't already, at some point you're going to start thinking about pricing, because business is going to start slowing down, and you're going to get in that thing's going to happen where you're like, I'm not working. Why aren't people calling me? Crap, do I need to lower my prices? Are my prices okay? And you're going to start, maybe not everybody, but I do this every single year. I reevaluate my pricing. Like, am I doing it right? Blah, blah, blah. And I don't end up usually making significant changes. If anything, I try to increase them, or at least rearrange things to where it feels like I'm increasing them. So I've made the decision this year that I'm not changing my pricing. I'm just going to make my pricing the same across the board for everything that I do. The only exception is when I'm going to increase the pricing is when I'm traveling. So I'm an open book. In my region right now, I'll just tell you my pricing. You don't have to tell me yours, but just to give you a sense of what I'm doing, I charge $1,500 for a creative fee and $100 per image. That is lower than where I used to charge. I used to charge $2,000 for a creative fee and $125 an image, but where I live now, it doesn't fly here. And again, unless I'm traveling, like when I go to Nashville, my rate increases based on wherever I'm traveling to and whatever those expenses are, or whatever I can demand in the market. Like sometimes I'm doing shoots for $2,500, but for the most part, my creative fee, my default position is $1,500 plus $100 an image. I'm not increasing that. I'm just changing it to where I used to have like 3 different rate sheets for different types of clients, depending on who would hire me. But I'm just tired of doing that. I'm just trying to simplify things. I think that's a fair rate. I think it's a relatively low rate for my region, but across the country rather, but for my region, it's appropriate. And I think you have to charge appropriate for your region. So if you're in New York or Southern California, you shouldn't be charging that, at least. So anyway, I just want to really open up the discussion for pricing. I don't have any necessarily groundbreaking discoveries or insights that I've learned that I wanted to talk about, but I kind of wanted to just share what I'm thinking and open up the floor if anybody had any questions or thoughts or whatever. Anything about pricing?
I think I probably should have, oh goodness, raised my prices again last year because I took that break this year and didn't raise anything, and my creative fee is $550 per image. So hearing you say that, even though it's like there is no comparison, I'm not comparing myself to you, Jordan. It's like I know better, but I've never had anybody like blink at that. But at the same time, it feels comfortable for me. So usually, like, I'll do a package that includes photo and video and whatever else they may want. So it's not just photography. There's, a final video product produced. But that $500 creative fee includes all that time on site. And the more I think about it, even if it's just a kitchen, or that's the part I struggle with. It's like, okay, I just need a kitchen done. Well, it's going to cost us money.
Yep.
And the more they add, videos where I've struggled the most with that, because at the end of the day, it's, an extra 10, 15, 20 minutes for me to shoot a couple extra rooms off of the main room they want shot. And so the time on site for me, like, I can mark that up, but, I feel like I should mark it up more, but then, when I'm doing photo and video, which the video, that's clips I'm shooting, right? So I guess the short question is what I should be asking is, photos to me are not as big of a deal as far as like being scared about pricing or raising my prices. Video is where I struggle with that. And I'm not
So
sure.
why do you struggle with it? Do you think they don't think it's valuable enough?
I know I've finally gotten to the point where I'm like, I don't care how much time it takes me to do whatever. The final product is the price, because you are, even if it takes this much time, it should still cost as much as if it takes this much time. Well, maybe not that big difference, but I feel like I've struggled so much in quantifying like a value on video versus photo, because it's just, it's such a different product. And while I have successfully licensed and relicensed video products to commercial clients, I feel like I haven't reached any like resistance yet.
Okay.
Which has made me kind of hesitate on making things more expensive.
I think I can help. I don't know if that's the right answer, but I can help. I can at least offer my thoughts. And I want to hear everybody else's thoughts too. I don't want this to necessarily be just me answering all the questions, but okay, so you're charging $500. So for photography, it's $500 plus what per image?
So it's $500 plus $50 an image. So the way I structure it is
No. Hold on. Hold on. Let's go one step at a time. So 500 plus $50 an image. Ballpark. How many photos are you shooting per house?
I will provide them a gallery, but in the end, I probably end up delivering the gallery includes a minimum of 10 images. So the 10, like they have to do a minimum of 10 images. So it's like 500 plus minimum 10.
Okay. So minimum shoot cost is $1,000.
Right.
Okay. What is the cost for a video?
Video usually ends up being like around 300 to 500, just depending on how long you want it to be.
Okay. So you're basing the cost of a video based on the length.
Pretty much.
Okay. Let me ask you why do you think, okay, how do you justify that by length? Like what is the reasoning behind that? I'm not saying it's wrong, I just want to understand so I can help break out the math.
I think, gosh, and I probably should go back on this, because I feel like the more I talk about it, the more I realize that I've kind of been probably pricing it wrong.
Sometimes you just have to say it out loud.
Yeah, like because the creative fee to me used to be, if I shoot video and photo, it's 500. If I shoot photo only, it's 500. So I used to just kind of create my time on site into that creative fee, and then whatever the end product is, it just depends on how they're using it. So if it's a social media video that's like 30 seconds and I'm capturing footage, it's like 300 to 500. If they're going to use it for longer than that, then we add on to that. But it's kind of like I don't really have a hard and fast pricing structure for it, and I just admitted that. So
it's the first step to getting
so yeah, first step is admitting you have a problem. So okay, so pick one number to do a video, just for the sake of this conversation. What is the cost of doing a video?
Video by itself?
Yep.
That's it?
Yep.
Edited, delivered,
Yep.
no matter what?
Yep.
500.
Okay, you feel good about that?
Yeah.
What if I asked you to increase that to 750? What does that do inside of you? Do you feel good with that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, but could you go to a client and say it costs $750 to do this video?
Yeah.
You said that with a little bit of hesitancy. What if you said 1,000?
I'd have to justify it.
Okay, so 1,000 is out of the question because you're not there.
Probably not.
But even at 750, you were
I feel
maybe
pretty good about 750.
Yeah, but you said pretty good. Like you don't feel like that's the right number. So what about 600?
Yeah.
Okay. So
it depends. The reason I'm hesitating here is because I'm not like matching the type of video or like how they'll be using the video.
Okay. So here's where I'm getting at. You can only, I would argue you should only sell what you're comfortable selling, what you think it's worth. until you think it's worth more, you can't sell it for more. Otherwise, you're just taking people's money. That's my philosophy.
And when I'm saying that
It's also why I'm not building an empire.
right. And okay, so full disclosure, we're in a safe space. I sell
Sort of. We are on YouTube.
Well, I don't care. My competitors see what I do every day. A real estate reel for a home, a vertical reel, is $200 to $300 with no drone. So, to me, even, video has always been more of a struggle. To me, I don't know why, because all video is fast-moving pictures. Like, it's not.
Technically, that is exactly what it is. 30 of them every second.
Right. So why is it so difficult for me, to make a video worth so much less than photos? Is it because I'm creating something that passes you by that's worth less in like the consumer's eye?
Well, I don't know the answer to that, but I what I think it is, it's because you still call yourself a photographer. Video is a secondary service.
Yeah.
It's not your main service, so you don't add the same amount of value to it. You don't assign the same amount of value to it.
It's true.
So what I'm getting at is you have to figure out a way internally to convince yourself the video is worth more.
Right.
And there's a few different ways you can do that. You can genuinely evaluate how much time it actually takes you to do it and determine whether or not you're actually losing money by making them. Or you can you can also look at the value that they're getting out of having a video.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to determine what that value is, but if they're paying it and they're not batting an eye, like you have to get to a place like the value for, like, if they're not batting an eye, it means it's a steal for them. It's a no-brainer for them. And you're just going to do them by default. So my point is you've got a little bit of leverage there. So you can increase it just on that alone. Like if they're ordering it without hesitation, you can increase it. It's okay.
I think that that for those that in this call that are primarily real estate focused, this is a struggle that so many of us have because
it happens in architecture too.
Well, yes.
Yeah. But no, I'm saying we devalue video in architecture.
Yeah.
The same as it happens in real estate. It's the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, photography is like still photography has obviously been established far longer than video, so it's harder to place an adequate value to it. But with real estate, if I were to assign the same amount of value to video, I mean, video, yes, it costs more money than real estate on paper because you're getting one video versus all these photos. But at the end of the day, I think, photos are easier. Like you can take one very profound photo and sell it for, or license it for lots and lots of money. You take a video, and unless you take one frame from that video that is worth the same as the photo you just sold for lots and lots of money, people don't equate it with the same amount of value on the back end. So you have real estate agents, especially, that they can take, unless you take that video and separate it or cut it into separate different video edits.
Can I just chime in?
Yep.
This you're making this you're letting them, or you're making this very complicated.
Yeah.
Like, I think the more.
I'm not saying that's an option. I'm just saying that that's what goes on inside of my head.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It might be helpful just to simplify it and say just cost this much to do video.
Yeah.
Period. Because it's not your primary service. So you don't necessarily need to worry about all the variables. I guess what I'm saying, and trust me, I understand all those questions because I have them myself. I deal with it. But if I'm giving myself advice, I'm saying, dude, you're making it more complicated than it actually needs to be. Like, how much do you want to make to do a video? Mm-hmm. And it's as simple as that. Like, that's really, for me, I'm talking to myself. That's what it boils down to. Like me, I don't want to do a video for less than $2,000. And like anything below that is like, ugh, I cringe. So when I think of that, I'm like, $2,000 is like what it makes, because I don't really necessarily want to do video. $2,000 is how much it's going to take for me to show up, bring my camera, and deal with it. And that's just a base video. I'm going to record everything. I'm not going to limit it to the amount of clips. I'm not going to limit it to time. I'm just going to shoot what's appropriate for that thing. Now, if they want social media clips, I'll license those separately. They can do that. They can make their own reels, or I can make it for them. I'm just going to charge separate for that. But again, I'm not telling you to do this. I'm just telling you how I've simplified it in my own head. It's one price to do video. And if it's going to take me more time, or if they're asking me to do something beyond what I'm normally going to do, I'm going to charge appropriately for those things.
No, I think it's good because what that's also opened up is the opportunity to offer an additional service to our clients, especially if they are meeting you at the property, if they want to do anything. Like I've already been like implementing this to a degree. If they want to do anything at the property that could potentially be used in a future social media edit, like you literally have 2-second, 3-second clips of them doing something. You shoot that at 60 frames per second at 4K, and you're like, I can create 4, 5, 6 little videos of you and put.
I think the easiest way to resolve all this, though, in your mind is just like on paper, write down all the things you actually want to do, assign a number to those, like what it's worth for you to do those things, and ask yourself, do I feel comfortable asking for this price? If the answer is yes, go up a little bit. The minute you start feeling uncomfortable about it, stop offering that. So write down all the things you do with video, assign a number to it. If it's like just a regular property video, $500, say, okay, do I feel comfortable with $500? Yes. Then you go, do I feel comfortable with $750? Well, you're maybe a little hesitant. Back down a little bit. Do I feel comfortable at $600? Yes. If it's like a yes without any hesitation, find that number. Where is your no hesitation number? And that should be your new pricing. And try to reduce the amount of variables that you have. And try to reduce the amount of offers. Have you ever gone to a restaurant and there's too many things to pick from? It's overwhelming. Like, it makes you just end up ordering the cheeseburger. Because it's safe, you know what to do. Just give me that. It's just too much. So limit the amount of options you have. If they want to present an option, fine. That's fine. And then just tell them the price. But I'm saying for you, just to have a little bit of peace around video and pricing for it, that's what I would suggest you do. I think that would really be helpful.
Hey, Jordan, can I give an alternate perspective, like 10
Yes,
seconds?
Absolutely.
If you've got an allotment of time, let's say you've got 1 day a week to do video, whatever it is, I'm just making it up, right? And you charge $500 for it. And your 1 day for video is booked every day, every week, you're 90% booked, raise your price. If you're 70% booked to do that video, lower your price. Your market will tell you where that price point is for you in that region, and they'll tell you what your price is. That only comes into what you're comfortable with, but if you're getting no bookings, you're too much. You have too much work, you're too cheap. Make it a math problem, not a justification of 30 frames a second. Like, don't sell the service, sell the solution. You make their life better by giving them video that helps them sell their product.
Reach.
Sorry to interrupt, Jordan.
No. It's perfect. I'm staying silent for anybody else to chime in. Or if you have something that you're dealing with or you're thinking about pricing, like anything.
Hey, Jordan. I know that I probably used more than my allocation.
No. By the way, there's no. Everybody can talk as much as they want. I just want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable coming up.
Well, maybe I feel inclined to comment just because I do a fair amount of real estate, and I also do a ton of videography, and I charge by the minute. That's my standard. yeah, I
Oh, you mean for
like
the length of the video, you mean?
yeah,
Oh, I
yeah.
thought you meant
So
like your time shooting. I'm like, whoa.
oh no. Back when I used to practice law, yes, but no. I charge by the minute for videos, social media videos. I haven't figured that one out yet because I can't charge enough to justify the amount of time it takes for me to put into a video that I would want somebody to put on their social media channel. They're just not willing to pay for it. Now,
Yeah.
there is one caveat, and this literally is a brand new endeavor for me, which is this project that I'm collaborating on with Joe Fletcher, is that I'm actually doing social media clips for the architect who designed 3 houses that he photographed. And they are willing to pay a number that makes sense to me. And I'm also doing landing page videos. And then one of their homes just got featured on the local project. And so they want me to cut videos that have that sort of aesthetic, much shorter. And for 2 out of the 3 homes, one was featured on local project. 2 of them have not yet. They're submitting, but they want to create 45 to 60-second vignette videos to put on their website. But my point behind this, and one of the other points I wanted to make was, aside from coming up with, like you said, simplifying it, I think that's a really important thing, and being clear about the deliverables. But the other thing is always be thinking about who else can use that video and how can you license it to them.
Yeah.
And I did a real estate video. It was a 2-minute video for my real estate client. It was a really expensive spec home, and the architect ended up seeing the video because they were promoting it all over, and so they asked me to do a cut for them. And so I was able to cut another video, charge the same rate, but I made way more money because I didn't have to shoot it again. I just used the existing footage, but I cut it a different way. And then the landscape architect saw the video, and I ended up cutting a 3rd video, and he wanted me to shoot during an entirely different season. And so, that video ended up being twice as much as the first 2 videos, well, equal to the first 2 combined. So always be thinking along with how can I get that rate to where I'm comfortable, but how can I double or triple that rate by possibly selling that video to somebody else who's involved with the project?
Yeah.
And I hammer that. I mean, every single project I do, the first question I ask is who else was involved with this? And then I ask for permission to pitch them on it. And that's a huge way to, if you want to look for ways to increase revenue, that's the low hanging fruit. And it's for me, it's kept, I don't even advertise anymore. I don't say that with any
Yeah, I understand.
whatever. I mean, if you're out there hustling and you can, that's advertising right there. And if you go to a client and say, hey, the architect hired me to shoot a video of this property, are you interested? They're most likely going to say, yeah, I'm interested. What do you got? And then you're off to the races. So anyway.
Yeah. No, it's all good points.
Well, I think too, to kind of overlap with the marketing piece, is a lot of people, some photographers will tend to forget that your pricing is a good chunk of your marketing as well. We use his name a lot. Let's use Mike Kelly or Simon Devitt or Joe Fletcher. Let's say an architect calls them and says, hey, I have this amazing house out in West Hollywood. I want you to shoot. Cool. What's the cost for that? $500. The architect's going to go, what? They're going to be more thrown by a cheap price. They're going to be confused because now the perception is all screwed up. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is if you're going to err on any side, err on the side of being just slightly too expensive, because at the very least, if your portfolio is worthy enough, your work, your reputation, all that stuff, if someone calls you and finds out, oh wow, you're significantly cheaper than I thought you would be, you might have some work to do on your pricing.
That's a really good point. So to that point, we recently had a builder tour, parade of homes for builders here in the region. And I went to some of the ones that were designed by architects that I wanted to work with. And in a couple cases, the architects were actually there. There was one in particular, this really high-end architecture studio in North Carolina. They were there. The architect just happened to be there. And I was like, oh man, I got all nervous because like, I've been wanting to work with this architect for a long time. But I didn't want to go up to him and say, I'm an architecture. Like I didn't want to just like go there like I'm pushing. Like, so I just was having regular conversation with him and didn't bring up architecture photography at all. And then he finally asked me, what do you do? And I'm like, well, I'm a photographer actually. He's like, oh, we already, like before I could even pitch anything, he just like cut me off. He's like, oh, we already have a photographer. They fly a dude in from Chile once a year to photograph all their projects. Like out of all the photographers in North Carolina, the great photographers in North Carolina, I'm not including myself in one of those. I'm just saying there's some solid photographers here. They fly somebody in from another country on the other side of another hemisphere. I think that's in another hemisphere. Anyway, yeah, duh. To shoot those. And it's not cheap. This guy's not a cheap photographer. And he's here for weeks shooting all their projects. And also, to say that same thing, like where I'm at, there's another photographer who lives in Raleigh, about 4 hours from here, that charges probably twice what I charge. And he gets brought in to photograph projects in my region. Even though I shoot for these people, they still bring him in. He's not any better than me, but he's more expensive, so there's a perceived value. And there's also his own personal brand. I'm not going to give details of this person's brand because it would say who it is, and I don't want to embarrass him or anything. But, you know, it is all about perception in the end, and price does go a long way with that. It doesn't matter what your price is ultimately. The price does help, but that's part of it, like to Matthew's point. But it's everything else. Like people are going to hire you based on the perception that you've created with them, and your price is part of that. So I think also going back to that, like just keep it as simple as possible. That also plays into it. Like think about it. Go to Joe Fletcher's website right now. There's like 5 words on the entire site. Like in his about section, it's like a poem it's like a 1-sentence poem or something. There's like a haiku or something. Like he doesn't need to sell himself. It's just like he has a little picture of his little friendly smile, a little haiku thing, and good pictures. Like that's his site. That's his menu. Take it or leave it. So anyway, sorry I'm ranting, but those are my thoughts and I'm sticking to it. So we're going to wrap up in about 9 minutes here. Let me see if there's anything in the comments. Brad said a guy tries to sell his old sports car to a regular used car lot, gets nothing but lowball offers because no one there understands what it is. Takes the same car to a collector's club where people instantly recognize it. Yeah, so you're talking to like same car, completely different value because the audience changed. Yeah, so I 100% agree. It's a really good analogy, actually. If anybody didn't catch what I was saying, go read the comment in detail Brad just left. Really good analogy. Vivian earlier said, thought I saw something last year. Instead of raising my day rate, I added the cost of the assistant. That's a good point. I do that as well. I include my assistant fee in my cost. I've done that for a while. The thing is, I don't even add travel, and people are gonna freak out or frown about this. I don't really care. I don't add travel fees as a line item. I build that into my creative fee. So I travel enough to where I know approximately what things are gonna cost. So I'll do a quick look. I'll estimate my costs, and I'll just increase that by like $200 or $300, and that's my creative fee. So when I go to Nashville, for example, I know how much that trip is going to cost me. It's going to cost me about $300. So I'm not going to increase my creative fee by $300. I'm going to increase my creative fee by $500. So there's a $200 cushion. Yes, I know it's an additional overnight thing, but Nashville I still consider my market. if I'm going to California or something that requires a flight where I'm away for a full day, that's different. I'm going to charge a travel day for that, etc. So, but I'm not going to line item that. I'm just going to increase my creative fee for that, because I just want to keep the invoices as simple as possible as well. And whatever I can bundle into the creative fee, I will. I don't charge an editing fee. I know some people do. That's included in my creative fee. I charge a licensing fee for my per image rate, because I want the licensing to be a clear, separate line item. Oh, she started adding the cost on top of her day rate. I see. Well, that's different. I just include it. But hey, there's a million different ways to do all this, and there's no one right way. But I think the more we talk about pricing, it demystifies it for people. And when you hear different opinions and different ways people do things, it might help somebody else who's listening and struggling with pricing kind of figure out where they're sitting with it and make them feel a little bit more comfortable. That's why I encourage that conversation pretty often. Not to price fix or anything, like not to say you needed to be charging this, but just to help people think more through how to charge for what they do. And maybe not give permission, but maybe help to justify the price that you're wanting to charge in your mind, just so you feel better about it. Any last minute thoughts before we wrap up for the night? Or for the day, depending on where you're at.
Hey Jordan, I got one more question for you regarding pricing, and I'm just curious if anybody else out there is offering different levels of pricing. I know some people just have like a flat rate price for like a per image price, and maybe that varies by project, but and what I'm basically talking about is different like licensing, different usages. Is anybody complicating things by doing that, or does everybody keep it? I mean, traditionally I've always kept it at one price per image, but I've changed that recently, and it's actually been sort of an interesting experiment for me.
Yeah, I do web and social as one license level, and then full-sized plus edits extra as another level. And that's worked reasonably well. I'm considering changing that around a bit more based on whether you are a builder or whether you're an architect / interior designer, given the way that things are going in my local market.
That last thing you said, Martin, is very important in your local market. You have to be very aware of what's going on where you're at, because not every market is the same. There's some markets, like designers are the main thing. Some market architects are the main thing. Some market builders are the same thing. Prices fluctuate. They're all over the place. It's all very different. But not to plug somebody. So I'm not affiliated in any way, but I do think everybody should know about Studio Ledger. They're not sponsoring this. This sounds like an ad. It's not. But definitely check it out. So Tony Roseland, for those of you, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him or not, but noteworthy photographer. He was very involved in the early F-Stoppers tutorials, Pro EDU tutorials. He's got like commercial, like food photography, product photography, and architecture videos out there. He did a podcast with Barry McKenzie, BAM, a couple years ago. So Tony retired from photography a few years ago, and this year he just started building a software that kind of solves all of our business related problems. It's called Studio Ledger. I would encourage everybody pull up a separate URL window right now and go to trystudioledger.com. Again, I'm not affiliated. I get nothing from this. I just really believe in what he's doing. I think it's going to solve a lot of people's problems. Trystudioledger.com. In short, the thing Martin was just talking about, the licensing thing, his software kind of solves this problem for us. I'll speak for myself, not for all of us, because maybe for some of you it's easy, but for me it's hard. I've always struggled with, thank you, Brad. I'm not sure if Brad put a link in the thing. I'm not sure if does that give you a link to sign up to the email list, notification list?
There's just a get in touch button in the top right. Oh yeah, right in the front on the homepage. It's there's an email sign up.
Yeah. Either way, sign up for it. It's definitely worth it. Again, not affiliated. You don't have to if you don't want to. I'm just telling you, I do, and I think everybody's going to end up signing up for this software based on what he's built. But anyway, what I'm trying to say that I keep on rambling away from, he's got something the other softwares don't have, a very simple way for you to set up your licensing to where clients can add additional licensing things they want to their price. So like, for example, let's just say they add an image to their shopping cart. You set whatever the base price for that is, and let's just say that includes social, you set the terms what that includes, social media only, $200. They can a la carte add the other licensing terms they want, including duration and all the price. It's basically like it's just a la carte. They can add the different licensing terms they want when they're going to check out. You don't have to sell it to them anymore. It's just all there. So in my opinion, it just makes it very, very simple to sell these things. And they can also manage all the licensing terms from within Studio Ledger as well.
Are you using it right now, Jordan?
Not right this second. I don't have access to it.
Oh, yeah, because I was looking on the site and the thing said like, join the wait list.
So we did a demo of some of the features on my Instagram. So you guys we did like a 30 to 45 minute demo on my Instagram that shows some of the features. It's insane. Like he walked me through it for about an hour and a half and showed me all the details of like everything it can do. It's really impressive, and it's gonna be relatively cheap compared to I think it's like $34 a month.
Yeah, the website says $39 a month.
Yeah, but I think if you buy it for a whole year, it's like 34 or something like that. But anyway, it's going to be in beta in a couple weeks after Thanksgiving, and it should have a full launch by the end of the year, sometime in December. I'm trying to get them to be a sponsor at the summit. I don't know if I'm not doing this so that, but I genuinely believe that what he's making is like kind of the answer to what a lot of us have been needing. You'll be able to get rid of a lot of softwares. Like I'm going to get rid of QuickBooks, which I'm really excited about because I hate QuickBooks. I'm also going to get rid of Pixie Set. You don't need WeTransfer anymore. Scheduling, it's got all this stuff in there. So anyway, worth checking out. All right, everyone, we're at the end. We went 2 hours. We did it. Some of you really stuck in there. Proud of you all. you stuck in there. We're going to do these again in the future. I don't know when, maybe once a month or something. But I used to do these regularly, and I kind of got away from them when I was planning the last summit. But after going to PMRE, I was like, man, I really like talking to people and talking shop with people. And I think it's helpful. So thanks for joining. And yeah, see you soon. Have a good Thanksgiving if you're here in the States.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jordan.
See ya.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Jordan.
See ya.
Good night.
Love you, Jordan.
Aw.
Thank you, Jordan.
Recording stopped.
Alrighty.
And now that they're gone.